In Mark chapter 2, Jesus had called a tax collector named Levi to come follow him. And Levi proceeds to invite Jesus to have a party with all of his friends. An invitation Jesus accepted, but not without stirring up some controversy. In Mark chapter 2, beginning with verse 15, "And as he reclined at table in his house, many tax collectors and sinners were reclining with Jesus and his disciples, for there were many who followed him. And the scribes of the Pharisees, when they saw that he was eating with sinners and tax collectors, said to his disciples, 'Why does he eat with tax collectors and sinners?' And when Jesus heard it, he said to them, 'Those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick. I came not to call the righteous, but sinners.'" The religious authorities in Jesus' day had such a high priority placed on keeping themselves pure that they believed that having any sort of association with people that might be unclean and with people who were publicly known to be guilty of sin, that to even have physical proximity with such people would make you less pure, it would make you unclean. Yet that's not the way that Jesus saw it at all. No, Jesus believed in lovingly engaging sinful people. That doesn't mean participating in their sin. That didn't mean condoning, approving, celebrating their sin. But it did mean entering into relationship with them, so that by experiencing God's light and love through him, their lives could be changed. We see that in how Jesus viewed his association with these tax collectors and sinners, when he said that sin is like a sickness. That's such an appropriate metaphor, because when you think about sin, those things that we say and do and think that we shouldn't, that go against the purposes for which God created us, those things that we don't say, do, or think, that we were meant to, that were God's intentions for us as people created in his image and likeness, placed here on this earth. Whenever we sin, when we go against what God wants for us, it ruins us. It brings pain and anxiety into our lives. It can be contagious. When we sin against other people, it invites them to retaliate back, to have bitterness and anger and all sorts of sinful responses to the wrong things that we do. Left unaddressed, sin will kill us. It's ruining us day by day. And if we die apart from God because of our sin, our eternity will be one of a second death, apart from God, who's the source of all goodness and light and life forever. So Jesus sees sin as something that needs to be addressed. It needs to be cured. But aren't you thankful that when you've experienced physical illness, when something's not been right in your body, you had a physician who was willing to come near to you? You had a physician who was willing to allow you into their space, who would lay hands on you and examine you and offer a way to cure what was ailing you. That's who Jesus is. Now, much like a physician masks up, washes their hands, so as not to become infected themselves, so as not to become a vehicle for spreading infection, Jesus engages without participating, but Jesus doesn't act like sin is okay. He recognizes it needs cured, it needs changed, and the way to do that is by coming close, by being our physician who diagnoses what's wrong with us, who helps and heals us so that we can experience change. And if we are Jesus' disciples, if we're completely devoted to following him, when we see that that is how he engages, we must recognize that's our call too. We need to lovingly engage with the people around us whose lives are being ruined by sin. We need to be the way that God shines light to show them that that's a problem, but it can be cured. It can be healed. And they can be able to live life in all the fullness that God intended. Because we have a physician who is willing to come into our mess and give us the healing we need, and his name is Jesus.